You hear they're arresting mayors now? Released the body cam footage of the Newark mayor who's been arrested by monkey. Anyway, of the Newark mayor who's been arrested. Apparently DHS is claiming that members of Congress assaulted them and are considering arresting them. Like the DHS has claimed that they have bombshell evidence of sitting members of Congress, Democrats, assaulting them, and that they're considering an arrest. Of course, the Democratic members of Congress say they were the ones assaulted, and it's the DHS saying this, so there's no reason to ever believe them. The rhetoric from the DHS is that the mayor of Newark stormed the facility, so it looks like what he actually did was step inside alongside the members of Congress who are legally allowed to enter, and then stepped outside, and then at some point after the mayor stepped outside the facility, the DHS was like, hold on, we can like do politics, we can do fascism right now, and they rushed out and arrested him. If we ever get all three branches again, Vosh, the Dems better crash out. Like legitimately, every lefty who was like, I should be abolished has been vindicated beyond the wildest dreams of the political wing. And if Democrats don't adopt that as one of their platforms, then like this country is truly lost. And I genuinely mean that. Like genuinely imagine through like narrow electoral circumstances, the Nazis losing and the Social Democrats taking over in 38, and they keep the Gestapo. They're like, yeah, the Gestapo were fine. There were just some few bad apples. Like, that's just a dead country. That's just a dead country. And that's all the DHS are, which is why all of them, by the way, are masking, and they're in their own body cam footage, blurring their own faces, because they know. It's not about protecting the community. They're not acting like public servants. They're acting like people who know that there's a potential in the future for them to be arrested for what they've done. The mayor walked in and then walked out. He was flanked by members of Congress who are legally allowed to be there. Then they came out and arrested him. They arrested only him. Members of Congress, the Dem members of Congress, they're allowed to be there. Though they are saying that the Dem members of Congress assaulted DHS members and that they're considering arrest for that reason. Are the Congress members allowed to bring a guest? I'm not that familiar with the rules. They were told the mayor couldn't come in, and then the mayor left. But all he did was enter the gate and then exit. There was no reason to arrest him. They did it because they wanted to make a political stunt out of it. Republicans are calling it worse than 9/11. Yeah, that sounds about right. Members of Congress and the mayor of Newark committed an insurrection at a federal detention facility in New Jersey today, worse than 9/11. 17 to 22 years each, no due process, hunt them down, etc., etc., right? American politics have gotten so polarized, the party in power is now just arresting their opposition and people are approving of that. Yeah, but like, let's not give the Democrats undue praise here. The Democrats should be arresting their opposition. What's wrong with our country? Fascism. It's just fascist. They're like this in every country every time they come up. They know they're lying. It's not new. It's not innovative. It's not interesting. They all know they're lying all the time. They just want power. After the mayor thanked ICE for treating him so well. Oh, after he was released from custody? Yeah, it's pretty sickening.
Jersey, New York, baby.
Yeah.
There was yelling, jostling involving three members of Congress, Mayor Baraka, and ICE officials. At the end of that dispute, Baraka was taken away in handcuffs. News 12 New Jersey's Amanda Lee is there tonight with the latest. Amanda?
Well, Kurt, it's been a long day. We were right there front and center for that madness as ICE agents came out to detain Newark Mayor Baraka shortly before 3 p.m. at the Delaney Hall Detention Center in Newark. And then they brought him here to the Department of Homeland Security, the Newark office.
At the end of the day, like, this is the autoplay. No, I wanted that playing. This is the problem ultimately, which is that like and this is when I say that like liberalism is ideologically incapable of meeting the moment. This is what I mean. Following his release, Baraka said he'll continue to advocate for those who remain at the detention center. Okay, that's good. We're not asking for anything that's incorrect. We're asking them to obey our laws, obey the policies, and obey the rules here in the city and the state of New Jersey. That's the issue. You cannot fight fascism on the under the like auspice of rule following. Like, that, for one, they have the power to set the rules. They control the federal government, right? But for two, like, your opposition has to be a moral one. Like you can, can you again, like, to understand how badly this works, just imagine it being applied against the Nazis, right? It doesn't. For one, they write the rules. For two, they don't care if they break the rules that they've written or that you've written. They don't care. And for three, it doesn't energize anyone against anything, right? Making arguments against the Holocaust based on illegality. You know, it doesn't work. It's pretty grim. 3 lawmakers involved in Newark protests could be arrested, DHS says. Like, this is where we're at right now. The Department of Homeland Security, which is effectively the president's private police force at this point, is just openly threatening to arrest Democratic members of Congress for no reason, for completely, invented charges. Like, when are they going to wake up to this, man? When are they going to wake up and smell the roses? Like, a gun is pointed at them. They're not. This is not like a workable response. Can they arrest Chuck Schumer at least? I'll give the devil his due. Tricia McLaughlin, the Homeland Security spokeswoman, told CNN on Saturday that a body camera video showed members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. The episode was under investigation, and charges against the 3 lawmakers were, quote, definitely on the table. Fantastic. Lying is so OP. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. But the Dems just suck. So unless they reform their party, it's over. I really do think a lot of them just don't understand the nature of the problem that they're dealing with, you know? They're so isolated, and they're so like unaware of the moment. I don't know. I want to see that video. Hold on. Tricia McLaughlin.
I want to start here just broadly. What happened there at the facility that justified arresting the mayor of the city of Newark?
Thanks, Victor, for having me. I'm glad I can be here to actually...
Dead eyes, freak, literally, like, again, demon puppeting human flesh. Perfect, right? It's literally like every time. Checking all the boxes. Demon phrenology, face somehow tanner than the dyed blonde hair, you know, a Republican makeup. It's incredible.
Give viewers the facts. What happened that these members of Congress, including the mayor as well,
look at her face. They're genuinely like they're not like
as there was a bus full of detainees going through the gate, they stormed the gate and actually entered the first security checkpoint. This put law enforcement at risk, and this actually put the detainees as well at risk. If any official, including these members of Congress, want to enter the facility and take a tour, DHS is more than accommodating. But just because you're a member of Congress does not mean you can break the law, trespass, put law enforcement at risk, and storm the detention facility. I have yet to hear anyone on this network actually talk about who is in this detention facility. There are members of MS-13, known terrorists, murderers, child rapists. There are some of the worst in this detention facility. And
also, slight point here, out of curiosity, why is the spokeswoman for the DHS a 19-year-old girl? Like, I don't know, it's a little weird. I know that, like, haven't there been, like, 25 people from Fox News that have been made members of Trump's administration? Like, I know they just pick anyone who's loyal to him. But, like, maybe I'm being sexist or whatever. No, I'm not. Because if I heard DHS spokeswoman, or DHS spokesman, and then I saw a, like, broccoli-haired Zoomer or something, I would also think it's a little bit strange, you know? Like somebody who looks like he should be doing TikTok reels about how he dropped porn and found God or whatever.
And I'm still very confused why these Democrats are so hell-bent on getting these heinous actors out of this facility when we have the proper permitting. And actually, in that press conference, those members of Congress actually noted the great conditions of this facility that our ICE enforcement officers so bravely operate.
So, as you said here today and in your statement, that they stormed the gate and broke into the detention center, according to the statement. Was anybody else arrested other than the mayor of Newark?
There were multiple people arrested. And Victor, I think that we should let viewers know there will likely be more arrests coming. We actually have body camera footage of some of these members of Congress assaulting our ICE enforcement officers, including body slamming a female ICE officer. So we will be showing that to viewers very shortly.
You say a video of members of Congress body slamming ICE
That's correct.
officials?
That's correct, sir. It's disgusting.
Okay, and so if you have that video, are you suggesting that members of Congress will be arrested who were there yesterday?
This is an ongoing investigation, and that is definitely on the table.
Who has the video?
ICE does, and we will be releasing that very shortly.
Okay. Let's talk about the facility, because what the mayor says, and he's been saying for several days, is that you all don't have the proper permitting, or at least the facility owned by Geo Group, a private company that's contracted with the federal government, does not have the proper permitting, the certificate of occupancy, and there are some violations. To that, you say what?
Like, the entire reason for these protests and the reason the mayor of Newark was protesting there is because they didn't get, like, the proper paperwork to do the Holocaust or whatever. Like, it's just so lame. Look, I'm glad he's there protesting. I'm glad the energy's there, like, at all, I guess. But it's crazy that, like, again, we're fronting a legal qualm rather than a moral one. Republicans never let this limit them. Republicans constantly moralize. They talk all the time about how the motivation for their behavior isn't, like, they lie about the law, of course, but, like, it's obvious that they're sort of being informed by a greater ideological perspective, namely making the world worse for everyone, than just you forgot to fill out the paperwork.
That is flat out false. That is just political gamesmanship. We have the proper permitting. We've gone through proper inspections. It's a joke. And by the way, he should not, this is a guy who is going and storming an ICE detention facility. He's putting detainees at risk. He's putting law enforcement at risk. He's joined by a mob of people who have
walked 1 foot into the fence, walked right back out. Yeah. That's so, and when you're arguing against them on legal grounds, this is what the argument turns into, right? It's like, oh, they don't have the proper paperwork. And then the fascist goes on TV and says, yes, we do. It's like, okay. What a phenomenal, what an excellent back and forth. What a battle of minds this is.
Have said we should end ICE. This is nothing more than political games, and we're not playing.
So there's a member of Congress, LaMonica McIver, who says that she told USA Today that ICE asked the mayor to leave. He did. And from the video that I've seen, when he was taken into custody, he was on public property. He was no longer on the private property of Geo Group. So if he was asked to leave and then he complied, why then take him into custody?
Whether you're a civilian, a mayor, or a member of Congress, if you are storming an ICE detention facility and putting law enforcement and detainees at risk, you can bet that we will arrest you and you will face the law. You will face justice.
Keep in mind, again, that the mayor of Newark, Baraka, did make it out of the facility before they arrested him. At some point after he exited the facility, they decided they wanted to use this as an excuse to arrest their opponents. They're trying to gum up a little bit more of a justification before doing it to the congressman, but, like, we might genuinely be within a few days or possibly even less than 24 hours of the first arrest of a Democratic congressperson. The real tragedy is that CNN allowed her airtime. Yep, this is from CNN. Just letting this stupid bitch on air say whatever the no critical engagement, because that's what journalism is. Remember, journalism is when you just bring people on and they say things. Like, there's no truth finding element to it or whatever. You just turn your program into a platform for them to lie on. Do you think then Dems would finally realize? No, I guarantee you that if they arrest the Democratic congresspeople who are there, the response from the Democratic Party would be, this is an outrageous lie. No one there broke the law. Which is entirely the missed point, like fully 100%, like, not the point, you know.
Other members of Congress will as well, as will the other protesters, some of which were arrested.
Okay, so we've got the mayor coming up in just a moment, but while I have you, I want to ask you about this reporting that the president is in conversations about...
Phenomenal stuff. We have the mayor coming up soon. Phenomenal stuff, truly. We have a Gestapo agent, and then after that we have a Jew. We're gonna give them both the opportunity to speak their mind.
Out suspending habeas corpus, one's right to challenge their detention in court. What would be the purpose of that when the Constitution says that there are very rare opportunities for this to happen, only when there is an invasion And so why would that be necessary at this point? We could put up here this section 9 of Article 1.
Like literally this. You're literally just teeing her up to say we're being invaded by illegals or whatever. Habeas corpus has only been suspended with good use once, and that was the time conservatives are mad about it, when Lincoln did it at the beginning of the Civil War. That was the one time. It's only happened, what, 4 times?
The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it.
Yeah, public safety requires it. It's very necessary, blah, blah, blah. Again, like, just completely complicit. I mean, it's just like 100%. There are people at Fox News who should be held just as accountable as people, or sorry, people at CNN who should be held just as accountable as people at Fox News if this is all, you know, responded to legally in a future administration.
Victor, I'm not going to get ahead of the president. I'm not going to get ahead of Secretary Noem. When they have an announcement to make, they will make it. But I am looking forward to your interview with the mayor. I wonder what he'll say about the body camera footage of some of his colleagues assaulting law enforcement agents. I wonder if he thinks that they should be held accountable.
No such footage has been shown, of course, but you knew that.
Jersey Mayor Ras Baraka, a Democrat currently running for governor of New Jersey. Mayor, we can't stress how much we appreciate you joining us tonight. You and I go way back, been through many causes together, including recently dealing with DEI and other issues. But please tell us what happened yesterday. Why were you there at Delaney Hall in Newark, which has become a major site for Trump's migrant purge? How were you treated at the separate ICE facility where you were held for several hours? And how will you respond as the Trump administration issues more threats against officials, elected officials, who impede its deportations?
First, thank you, Reverend Al. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak. Yeah, I was invited there for a press conference that the Congress people was having. It's important to note that I was there that morning, and I was there at least 3 or 4 mornings before that. With our fire inspector denied entry. We served them a citation because we're in court. I left, came back for this press conference, was there for at least an hour and a half before some folks from HSI came. Actually, the special agent in charge never saw the special agent in charge make an arrest. It would be like our police director going downtown arresting somebody for jaywalking or trespassing, but he comes out and, confronts me, out of all people, comes right to me. That's why I think it's targeted. Tells me to get out. Several times I leave the gate, finally waits till I'm outside of the gate. And, the agents came out, ICE agents came outside where I was and tried to arrest me there. And they did. They arrested me. The scene got crazy. So I kind of acquiesced and allowed them to arrest me and take me.
They arrested you outside of the gate?
It's not really acquiescing, right? Like, if you're getting arrested, you kind of have to get arrested.
Yes, outside of the gate. I was already outside when they arrested me.
Wow. Now, take a listen to Trump's border czar, Tom Homan's take on what's driving you and other officials protesting their migrant purge.
These elected politicians know that. This isn't about the due process. This isn't about constitutional rights. This is about politics. They simply don't want these people removed from this country. They don't want immigration enforcement in this country. And that's what it's all about. They can stand out and scream all they want. They can trespass, they'll be arrested. If they impede, they'll be arrested. If they knowingly harbor and conceal, they'll be arrested.
What's your reaction?
When you're looking at stuff like this, it's important to understand that, like, the reason the liberal response doesn't work is because most people only use law as a facsimile for a set of moral values they have that they think, like, supersede law, right? Like, when people talk about big things like slavery or the Holocaust or whatever, things that they disagree with or things they think are morally objectionable, they're not usually appealing to the legality of the subject at the time. They're talking about, like, a greater set of principles. The problem is that, like, liberals don't seem to believe that there's any set of principles worth defending that should be defended above the auspices of the law. Fascists do, right? Like, fascists know they're lying about the law, but they think it's justified because they're doing something that's greater. They're like appealing to a greater need or like a greater moral sensibility, right? But liberals don't have the same, like, maybe they used to, but liberals no longer value, say, for example, democracy in that way, right? Like the law has, rather than the law being like a means to achieve an end and the end being a better society, the law has become itself the end, right? They don't think beyond it or above it. And because they can't think beyond or above it, they're confused. They don't understand why their arguments aren't like responded to, right? Like people know, a lot of the fascists know that they're playing with the law, that they're not being honest, that they're not being fair, but they don't care. Because they think that they're doing something greater. They think they're doing something that's worth it. No, I hate how Justin Trudeau handled it. I would have rather he sent in the military. Masaigo. Keep in mind, by the way, that the average Democratic voter, like, would absolutely 100% be on board with, like, massive retributive action from the Democrats, regardless of the law. Like, the average person is not as bound by the law as an end as the Democrats seem to be, you know? They're the ones who are, like, abnormal in this respect. They can't think outside of it.
Action to that, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I think due process is politics. It's policy, and policy is a part of politics. Politics is what established the Constitution of the United States, is what established the Bill of Rights. That's exactly what it's about due process. Whether we can disagree on immigration policy until the cows come home.
Not a single Dem voter pushed back on Jan 6ers getting arrested. Yeah, but that wasn't outside the law. Like, they broke the law, so their arrest was justified. It was their pardoning that goes outside the law.
But at the end of the day, everybody has a right to due process. If you step foot on this soil, you have a right to the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. That's what separates this country from other countries around the world. Maybe he doesn't know that and is not ready to defend that, but we are.
Now, what's next legally in your case, and as importantly or more importantly for the detainees currently in Delaney Hall? I know ministers and others, groups, New Jersey National Action Network and others are calling meetings to see what will happen to them. Are there any in there that are being detained that shouldn't be entertained there? What's next with your case and the pursuit of finding out who's in that detention center and who should not be there?
Well, on May 15th, I have a pretrial hearing. They're treating this just like a regular case. I was arrested. I was put in a cell. I was given a mugshot, fingerprinted, charged with a federal crime of trespassing. I might add the police in there treated me pretty good, by the way. I mean, they gave me with respect and dignity. Yeah. So I appreciate that. But I've been tried. I have to go to pretrial hearing. Ray Brown is representing me, and we're going to see this thing through. And I'm going to go back there and continue to try to gain entry with our fire inspector. And I know there's some protests that other people are planning coming forward. And if I feel obligated to be there, I will. And so this doesn't stop. The city is in contention with the GEO group, and we're going to continue in court with them.
Now, did you get any idea of how many people are detained in there and how many are there possibly wrongly or illegally and how many are there legally? Because we're seeing, if you think of the case of Garcia in El Salvador, where they admitted the federal government he shouldn't have been deported. Do you have any sense of whether everyone in that detention center ought to be there?
See, and that's the point of contention here. We don't know what's going on in there. We don't know who's in there. They don't allow inspections. They're not doing, they're not complying with the local laws. They don't have a certificate of occupancy in our argument. And we were in court arguing these matters. They feel like they don't have to go to court. They have a contention. We have a contention. They have an opinion. We do. We usually solve those problems in America through the court of law. They don't want to use the court. They want to use a decree. They believe that what they say goes, that we have a kingdom here and not a democracy. And that's the problem.
Now, I'm talking for myself, I was deeply disappointed to learn yesterday that while the Trump administration was arresting you for standing up for migrants, they were also finalizing plans to fly white South Africans that they are calling refugees to the United States on State Department charter flights starting next week. They are organizing what White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller calls a large-scale relocation effort for these white migrants from...
Feel free to be as mean as you can get away with to any white South Africans who come over here, by the way. Never met a nice South African. I don't know. Isn't it just like the tone of this conversation is crazy to me? Like, Republicans will be so alarmist about anything. They'll be alarmist about nothing. Meanwhile, he literally got arrested and is being charged with federal trespassing and completely fake charges. Like, just completely made up. And he's just like, yeah, well, the cops were nice to me. Like, they've forgotten how to do politics. Like, that's it. Like, it's a shocking inability to do politics. Are you kidding me? Like, you've been given the easiest possible pretext for the highest level of alarmism, and it's not landing at all. It doesn't register even slightly. Totally unprecedented situation. I mean, there's no like history to look back to or call upon. We're in totally uncharted waters here, and you're still acting like this is all just, you know, it's just part of the plan.
South Africa, even while they're terrorizing other mostly non-white migrants who have been here for years. It seems to be a very clear signal of the racial politics behind this immigration crackdown. Doesn't that appear that way to you, Mayor Baraka?
Yeah, I don't think they've been hiding it, though. It's just this kind of white supremacist authoritarianism that's happening. This country is slipping into authoritarianism, and we're watching it. We're watching them defy the courts. We're watching them lock up elected officials, put pressure on large legal organizations, make it difficult for people to oppose them, and attacking Black and brown communities, attacking DEI, now flying white Afrikaners over here to the United States to find refuge where they deny refuge for everybody else, from war-torn communities at that. I mean, this is very clear to us. It has always been clear to me, and our job is to make
This is really hard to listen to. Oh, do you like the fact that when MSNBC, the closest thing we have to like a left news network, does interviews, it looks like trash? Like, this looks like a student production. Meanwhile, Fox News always has the money and clout necessary to add a veneer of professionalism to their interviews. Like, it's pathetic, right? How dare you, students could do so much better. Yeah. The Vaseline on the camera is a nice touch. Yeah. His little laptop camera.
sure we expose it.
Before I let you go, Mr. Mayor, radar screens serving Newark Liberty International Airport went black early Friday morning, the latest in a series of safety scares involving air traffic control at one of the region's busiest airports. The FAA says it's working to fix the problem. Some elected officials have called for investigations. How's your city been impacted by this, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I don't really care about that as much. I don't know. It's just really disappointing. I guess I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it's going to happen. I just keep hoping over and over and over and over again that like some line will be crossed that'll wake people up, that'll wake the Democrats up, and it just keeps not happening. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, this video title says the line has been crossed. This MSNBC video with 7,000 views that was posted 2 hours ago.
We're looking at the Supreme Court, where all
birthright citizenship.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I'll leave it to the lawyers to really look at the Supreme Court. But I think if we widen the aperture, we might need to ask ourselves the question: what's motivating the assault on birthright citizenship?
It's clearly because they must want this, right? No, they're just not like equipped to understand or respond to it. Like that's really it. It's frustrating because I think it's a lot more compelling to understand. It's more cathartic to believe that everyone is working off the same understanding of the world, and that people who are evil choose to be evil, and people who are ineffective choose to be ineffective, and so on and so forth, you know? But unfortunately, in reality, it's just they just don't know what's going on. Now, anyway, so made the point. It's just very, you know, not sure if people are more sleeping or clueless about what to do. Well, it's about the Democrats, like, as a party. It's about it's about the institution, right? Not like the average voter. How can they not see what's happening, though? I just don't think they know how to respond to it. Just had excellent Indian food in Pioneer Square. The owner was talking about how slow business has been because Canadians aren't traveling here anymore. Yeesh. Radio silence from Chuck Schumer. Actually, has Chuck Schumer commented on this? I don't see anything. Yeah, when you look up Chuck Schumer Newark, you just hear him talking about the FAA. I don't think he's talked about the arrest at all. His book tour is more important. That's probably true. Chuck Schumer is a little bit difficult to say off the cuff. It's a little muddled pronunciation-wise. I think he's evil. Well, that's a given. violently incompetent. Well, I don't think Schumer's incompetent. I think he's evil. I think most Democrats just don't know what they're doing. I think that Schumer's job is to keep the party subservient to capital. I think that the majority of Democratic representatives or officials or whatever aren't. I just don't think they know what the is going on. I may be too used to parliamentary systems where the party leader is an actual party leader, but who's actually in charge of the Democrats federally? Well, there's a DNC chair. Actually, that's something we're talking about today. Though in our system, in the presidential system, there's not really, how do I put this? The DNC chair's decision-making mostly comes down to, it has to do mostly with funding. In terms of party strategy, well, I guess in terms of party strategy, for the most part, the party's led by, like, consultants, not so much like the chair itself. But our parties are not very well organized, is what I should say. You know about the Project 2025 Observer website already? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't really know what the point of tracking Project 2025 is when everything that's happening every day is already in line with it, right? Like, what are you tracking, I guess? It's not like, it's like we know what they're doing. I guess I don't really care that much whether or not they're like 62% of the way through or 58% of the way through or whatever. Like, yeah, they won. They're doing the thing, 42% of it's been completed. Well, then, hey, let me know when they hit 43, right? Dang, it just reached 43. Yeah, it just feels like the Democrats are completely rudderless when there isn't anyone in the White House. I mean, the problem is that political parties aren't supposed to exist in a presidential system in like an ideal world, right? The idea is you're not voting for an MP, the group of whom chooses the next prime minister, right? You're supposed to just vote for the candidate that you like. Now, obviously, that was naive. In the real world, it doesn't actually work that way. But as a consequence of the way presidential and congressional systems are organized, you have like a practical need for a political party, but there are institutional biases against it. Like you want to still act as though you have like a diverse range of thought within the party, at least like historically. And I think the Democrats are still in mind of that, right? Because the Democrats don't really do much to whip people into shape. Obviously, right now, Republicans are incredibly aggressive. What Republicans are doing right now wouldn't be considered acceptable in any system other than the one they've built, which is like a proto-fascist political party, right? Where like Elon Musk is threatening to primary people who don't go along with Trump. Just 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been considered even remotely acceptable. Right? Because then you're effectively getting rid of the element of the presidential system that differentiates it from the parliamentary system. That is to say, the fact that these members of a party are supposed to be together out of convenience, but not necessarily a consistent voting bloc. It wasn't that long ago, by the way, that bipartisan support for different bills was relatively common, right? Like you would have bills come out that like Southern Democrats would vote against and Northern Republicans would vote for. And, like there was a lot more variance. And nowadays, of course, it's just, I don't know, completely partisan. Oh, it's only Israel. Yeah, pretty much. What are you going to do